Hi everybody, welcome back. Today we're going to be talking about one of the more powerful data container, data structure type of things in Python, and that is dictionaries. Okay, so if you enjoy working with lists but don't like the index of the number, dictionaries are kind of a useful thing to do instead, because you'll have what's called keys that we can refer to. So let's jump right in. Let's talk about dictionaries today, and we're going to talk about some of the things that we can do and some of the syntax and whatnot. So dictionaries are going to use what's called key value pairs. Okay, so with key value pairs, just like in a real dictionary, each word, you think there's a word and that relates to a definition, right? And so in a dictionary in Python, same type of thing. We're going to have a word, and that is going to link to data or a definition, right? So let's kind of go through the syntax of how this is set up. We'll start with a dictionary called student, and here we're going to use braces, and I like to hit enter right after I've created the brace and go to the next line. I think this makes it a little bit easier in terms of structuring it. So here is our key. This name is our first key. We're going to separate it with a colon, and we're going to say, give it data. We're going to call this, say, Alice. And then we separate each of these with a comma. We'll go to the next line, and we can give it another data point, another key. Our second key is age, and we're going to give it the value of, let's say, 32. Okay, and then we'll give it another key. We'll call it major. And we'll call this, we'll say their major is geography. Okay, and I'm getting some errors here. It's because I forgot the comma right here. But this is how the syntax is set up. And let's go ahead and print out students so that you can see it in action. Okay, so again, we start with our data container name, student, is equal to, and then we have our brace. And then on the next line, we do our key, and then our values, separated by a comma, key, value, key, value. And we're going to use comma for all of those. And then instead of like in lists where we use indexing, we can use just the name of the key, right? So if I want to print out just the values for age for the student, I can. Okay, if I want to print out major, I can. Okay, and so instead of having a number, that doesn't work, right? Lists use the numbers, dictionaries are going to use the keys. And we'll call this name. Okay, so that is the basic syntax of what we are after. Okay, again, let's go back and just print out this. You'll notice braces. Okay. Anytime we have an output of a string of data, not strings, but kind of different data points, different values, they're going to be either a brace, a parentheses for a tuple, or a bracket. A bracket is going to be a list. For our dictionaries, they are going to be in this key value setup with a brace. Okay, and if we want to access some of their data, we can continue to do kind of what we did before. Let's just bring this down, make my life easier, print, and we can again access these things by doing the keys there. We can also do something that allows us to, if we access a key that doesn't exist, we get an error. Okay, so if I did, let's say print student, and then I put in GPA, I'm going to get an error. Okay, so sometimes it might be better, instead of saying print student and then that, we could do print student.get, and we want to get, say, GPA again, but then we can say not available. Missing a parentheses. There you go. not available. So what's happening here, right? Our get method allows us to set a default value if what we have in there is not available. So return a value for a key if key is in the dictionary, else default. Okay, you can kind of see the structure here with key, comma, default. Okay, so if I put in here, instead of that, I put in name, I'm going to get Alice. Okay, so get allows us to make sure that what we're getting, we don't run into any sort of errors that slow our coding down. We're allowed to build in a little bit more kind of just in case. So again, it's the way the get method works is we're going to put it there. We are going to set up what key we want to return, and if it's not there, we print out some sort of default message. And we can leave it blank too. And we can't leave it like that. And it's just going to return nothing. Okay, the default is just no response. Or it's none. Sorry. None. Okay. Okay, next we're going to add some data to our dictionary. Let's say that we do want to add GPA because GPA is important. We're going to add it by calling our data container name. We're going to say our new key value, our new key is going to be GPA. And then we're going to set that equal to, let's say, 4.0. Very good student. And then we can print out student. And now we can see that GPA is in there. If we take this code and let's just swap this out, GPA, and we'll say, I like the not available response, we can see it does return 4.0. Our key of GPA is now in the data set. We can then also change things, right? We can also update values, right? So let's say that, oops, I got the things wrong. Actually, I know that the age of our student is actually not 32, they are 30. Okay, and then I can do same thing, print, and then do age, and now the age is 30. So up here, age was 32. I've now said, hey, go to the key of age and give it a new value of 30. Okay, so that is kind of in a simple dictionary how we're going to swap out and access and add stuff to our data sheet. Now let's say that, hey, I added something by mistake, or I want to split off stuff in a different way. We can do that. What we'll do is we can either use the delete keyword, or we can use what's called pop. Okay, and let's go ahead and give that a try. So let's say, you know what, I do not want GPA in there. We're going to do delete student GPA. Okay, and then we're going to print student. Okay, and we can see here that because I have an extra quotation mark, and now GPA is no longer in there. Okay, here it's not going to work now because it's fine. We'll start our code over again here. Here, let's start our code over again, and so you can see the difference. So we have here with delete, I've deleted our student or GPA from that line right there. Another thing we could do, instead of delete, let's say I actually want to just remove that data and to put it somewhere else, I could use what's called pop. So let's say I don't want major in here. I could say major is equal to student.pop, and then the name of our key. Okay, there's major, and then we will print out major. And so what I'm doing here, let's see if I can highlight it. Built-in method pop of dictionary object. Yeah, basically what we're doing is we're going to print, we're basically taking that key and its value and putting it into a new data container and removing it from the old one. Okay? So what you see here now is, for this line, our output is geography. Okay? It has taken major and geography from our dictionary. Okay? It's put it in its own little value here, its own little dictionary type thing. It's removed it. It's right here. And now our end result is this. Okay? So we can delete it either through the delete keyword or through pop. Either one works. Two good options for deleting deleting content from your dictionary. Let's add a note here. Deleting content. All right, now let's talk about some of the useful methods that you're going to need to have. What I'm going to do is I'm going to run this again so I have more data to work off of. But let's say that we want to access just the keys. We want to say, okay, well, I don't know what keys are in this particular data set. I just want to print out the keys. And that gives us a list, a tuple list of the keys that are available in this particular dictionary. Okay, let's say I want to print out the values. We could do that too. Okay, let's say instead of those things, we want to print out all of the key value pairs. What we mean by that is a key value pair is this. Name, Alice, that is a pair. Age, 30, that is a pair. Okay, and if we want to print out all of those key value pairs that are in our dictionary, we could do student, and we can do items. Okay, and that prints it out right here. And so this gives us a list of tuples of all of the key value pairs. Now you ask, okay, well, how is this different from, let's say, if I just print it out like this? We can do things with this data. It's also a little better in terms of formatting, especially when you get into different types of data structures for your dictionaries. Which leads me to our next point about how do we do, let's just make a note here, methods. How do we actually build dictionaries that contain a lot of information rather than just information about Alice? A couple of different ways. Let's call this, instead of student, we'll call this one students. Okay, and we're going to set up a dictionary that is functionally a dictionary of dictionaries. Okay. Name is Alice, and the ID number is going to be 101. Oh, that wasn't done yet. And their GPA is going to be equal to, is going to be, say, 3.8. And that is going to be our first entry into our dictionary. Okay? Then we'll add another name. We're going to do the same keys here. Name, Bob, ID, 102, and GPA is, say, 3.4. And let's do one more just for fun. Name, Carl, ID, 3, and GPA is, say, 3.0. Let's print out students. And I'm missing a character. Let's look and see what I am missing. Unhashable type. Okay, cool. So this is what I'm doing. First one I'm doing is a list. So we're going to do a list of dictionaries. Okay, now we have our data in there. And the next one is going to be a dictionary of lists. Okay, so rather than this, we can do like this, and then just say Bob Carl and then we'll add in GPA. And our GPAs are going to be 3.8, 3.4, and 3.0. Alright, and nice and clean. We now have a dictionary that contains our keys and our values. Okay, so there are different ways of setting up multiple entry type of data sets where we have, let's say, we're interested in having a database or a dictionary database that includes personnel knowledge, personnel information like student name, ID, whatnot. We could either build it as a list of dictionaries, or we could build it as a dictionary with keys and then a list of values. I think oftentimes I would opt for this one, but there are two good options. This one is probably the more common one and the one best for multiple students. Why is going to allow us to just more easily iterate over the students, more flexible for expansion, right? I just have to add another line here for a new student, whereas over here I have to make sure that each different list item lined up correctly so 102 wasn't being attributed to Carl. So this was probably the better way to do it. I kind of like this one, but this one is also, this one's probably the one you all should stick with for now, okay? Lastly, I want to mention looping, or what we call iterating over. And to do this, what it means is when we iterate over a list or a dictionary or anything, really, all we're doing is simply going through each item in a collection and doing something, okay? And so we're basically accessing each piece of information in a dictionary and then doing something to or with that information. So for example, let's go to back to our student thing. Let's say for key in student print key. Okay, and so rather than using print student.keys, what we've done, so here we get the individual values, and here we get them as a list. So all I've done is say for each of the keys in our dictionary called student, print those keys. Okay. Another thing that I could do here is for values. I could say for value in student.values, print value. Now this one's not as fun because you're still using basically the values method, but rather than get this as a tuple dictionary or a tupled list, we just get the values printed out. So that's a little bit easier for us to deal with later on. We could also do, say, for key, comma, value in student dot items, print, and this is an F string. F string allows us to integrate variables into our strings so that they will kind of plug in the values of each iteration into the string. Okay, so this is called an F string. What we do is put the F first, we put a quotation mark, and then we put in our data points that are from the dictionary here. We put our keywords here, or our variable names here. So I can say, also put other text here. I can say, in our dictionary, we have, okay, and if I print this out, for each of the key value pairs, it is going to put in, in our dictionary, we have, and then name and the value, age, and the age, the value, the key and the value, key and the value. Okay. Now, some of you may be asking, well, how does this work with our students one? Right? If we do for key, value, and students items, which are the ones that have the key as this and then a list of data, how is that going to look? Well, we can still do the same thing. It's just going to give our values as lists. Okay. Now let's actually do this as students 2, and that, and let's see what it looks like when we do that. One thing that's going to bother you throughout this course is indentation. Okay, indentation matters. You should see here this line. This line shows all of the code that falls under this for loop. Okay, or this for iteration. So taking that back means that this is 1 and this is 1. This is where it ends. So we'll do 2. And let's see what this looks like. What do we get? Oh no, we didn't get items. Why didn't we get items? Why doesn't this not work? Oh no. Well, if we look back up here, is this a list or a dictionary? Ah, it's not a dictionary, it's a list. See? List. Right? So we have to use our list methods in order to access this, and then dictionary methods to access each of the individual things in there, which we'll go over more later in the course. Okay? Let's take that off so it doesn't look bad as I finish. Okay. So that is it for today. I'll post another video for guidance on the lab as well. Have a good one.